diplomacy, and I will talk about what the global stage or the continental level. But again, we're understanding that diplomacy is filled with tools that countries to start with or regional economic communities use to assert their interests, seek for their interests, and fulfill those interests in the global arena. I will offer that we need to start with those countries themselves. If we talk about the African Union, there is an African Union because we have African countries.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that what the panelists who spoke before me emphasize that. Where are we in terms of those countries themselves? A few examples. When you have, I don't know how many African countries do have diplomatic missions that cover a wide range or a bigger, a broader breadth of countries. At the United Nations, we see that what we have about 193 countries, and I don't have the stats in front of me to find out whether or even the superpowers do have representation everywhere. One thing is sure is that diplomacy is expensive. It costs a lot of money.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, Clarice, the African countries need to be very conscious that it is also a space, an arena where investment needs to be made. As a people living in the diaspora, and I have lived in the United States for the past 20 years, I have experienced some of the difficulties that the Ivory Coast Embassy in the United States in Washington, D.C. May have. Sometimes it is in terms of staffing, sometimes it is also in terms of the skills of these individuals, sometimes it is also in terms of how thinly stretched the personnel on the embassy can be. You have diplomatic missions that have the mission to cover a broader range of missions, including representing their countries in the country where they are hosted. This is one of the issues. And these are the things that what African countries need to start. Second thing is the training or the technical capacity, the knowledge of these diplomats that we have. Who train them? Where are they trained? What are the philosophy, the ideology that they have? Of course, an ambassador is the reflection of the country or the government that sits in there. If the government, of course, is aligning, or the president is aligning with, let's say, France-Afrique, you're not going to expect an ambassador to go upwards or to go left or right. If not, that ambassador, a female or a male, will run the risk of being sacked, point blank. Which means that we also need to have in place in Africa some leaders whose policy, programs of development starts with Africa, continues with Africa, and ends with Africa. Meaning, it does not it does not include any form of autocracy. It does not include any form of living in autarky, no. But it means that whatever relationships are developed, whatever trade patterns are developed, or trade relations that are developed, those should be done for the sake of the development of the African continent. So this is at the country level. Once all those things, I believe, are also in place, it will automatically trigger at the continental level. And before we even reach the continental level, I'm sure that it's also going to strengthen the different regional economic communities that we have, starting with the ECOWAS, the SADC, the EECA, and all of them then are going to be strengthened because the countries themselves would have strengthened their governance mechanism and their also diplomatic goals, which will trigger again strengthening these regional economic communities, which will in turn also strengthen whatever the African Union is doing. Clarice, this is the path that I am describing, or the path that I'm drafting, proposing for Africa to strengthen its role, its presence in this global diplomatic arena.